In this video, we will work with layers within InDesign CS6. Layers can be extremely useful when working with our document in order to ensure we do not accidentally make changes within areas of our document unintentionally. Every document with InDesign CS6 contains at least one named layer. By using multiple layers, we can create and edit specific areas or kinds of content in our document without affecting other areas or kinds of content. For example, if our document is printing slowly because it contains many large graphics, we can use one layer for just the text. Then, when it's time to proofread the text, you can hide all other layers and quickly print the text layer only. You can also use layers to display alternate design ideas for the same layout, or versions of advertisements for different regions. So we'll have to think of layers as transparent sheets stacked on top of each other. If a layer doesn't have objects on it, you can see through it to any objects on layers that are behind it. Keep in mind the following things when you work with layers. Each document layer has a disclosure triangle that can be expanded to review the objects in their stacking order on that layer for the active spread. Groups, buttons, and multi-state objects also have disclosure triangles that can be expanded to display their contained objects. We will be able to reorder these objects, lock and unlock them, and add or remove them from groups. Also remember, objects on master pages appear at the bottom of each layer. Master items can appear in front of document page objects if the master page objects are on a higher layer. And finally, layers involve all pages of a document, including master pages. So for example, if you hide layer 1 while editing page 1 of your document, the layer is hidden on all pages until you decide to show it again. To get started, we will create a new layer within the Sandy's Daycare Center document. First, we'll ensure that we are displaying the Layers panel. If you're not displaying the Layers panel, select the Window menu and select Layers. We can create a new layer in several ways. First, we can create a new layer above the selected layer by clicking on the New Layer button. Next, we can create a layer below the selected layer by holding the Control key on a PC or the Command key on a Mac as we click the New Layer button. If you'd like to create a new layer at the top of the layer list, hold Control-Shift on a PC or Command-Shift on a Mac as you click the New Layer button. Finally, you can create a new layer by selecting the Layers panel menu and then selecting New Layer. I'm going to go ahead and use the New Layer dialog box to set options for the new layer. First and foremost, it's important to give your layer a name. For color, you can assign a color in order to identify the objects on a layer. Assigning a color to a layer makes it easier to distinguish the layers of different selected objects. For each layer that contains a selected object, the Layers panel displays a dot in the layer's color. On the page, each object displays the color of its layer in its selection handles, bounding box, text ports, text wrap boundary if used, frame edges, and any hidden characters. The layer color does not appear for a deselected frame if its edges are hidden. In this example, I will assign a new color to the layer. Selecting the Show Layer option will make the layer visible. Selecting this option is the same as making the eye icon visible in the Layers panel, which we'll review shortly. Selecting the Show Guides option will make the guides on the layer visible. When this option is not selected for a layer, the guides cannot be made visible, even by selecting the View menu and then the Show Guides for the document option. Selecting the Lock Layer option will prevent changes to any objects on the layer. Selecting this option is the same as making the crossed out pencil icon visible in the Layers panel, which we'll take a look at. Selecting the Lock Guides option will prevent changes to all ruler guides on the document. Selecting the Print Layer option will allow the layer to be prevented from printing. When printing or exporting to PDF, you can determine whether to print hidden and non-printing layers. Selecting the Suppress Text Wrap when layer is hidden option will cause text on other layers to form normally when the layer is hidden and contains objects with the text wrap applied. When you're finished specifying your layer options, click the OK button. Now that we've created the new layer and specified options, any new object we create will be placed on this new target layer, which is what we call the layer that is currently displaying the pen icon in the Layers panel. Targeting a layer also selects it. If multiple layers are selected, targeting one of them doesn't change the selection, but targeting a layer outside the selection will deselect the other layers. Adding objects to the layer can be accomplished by creating new objects with the type or drawing tools, importing, placing, or pasting text or graphics, or selecting objects from another layer and moving it to the new layer. Keep in mind, though, that you cannot draw or place a new object on a hidden or locked layer. Otherwise, what would be the point of hiding or locking the layer? When you select a drawing tool or the type tool, or place a file when the target layer is hidden or locked, the pointer changes to the crossed-out pencil icon when it is positioned over the document window. To rectify this situation, you would either need to show or unlock the target layer or target a visible unlocked layer. Within InDesign, you can select any object on any layer. In the Layers panel, dots will indicate that a layer has selected objects on it. The layer selection color helps you identify an object's layer. To prevent selecting objects on a specific layer, don't forget to lock that layer. You can lock a layer by selecting the small square to the left of it. Notice that a little lock icon appears when the layer is locked. If you'd like to select individual objects on a layer, click the triangle icon next to the layer to display all and select a target object. You can also drag the target object to a different location without selecting it. To select all objects on a specific layer, hold down Alt on a PC or Opt on a Mac as you click a layer in the Layers panel. To move or copy objects to another layer, use the Selection tool to select one or more objects on a document page or master, and in the Layers panel, drag the colored dot on the right side of the layer list to move the selected objects to the other layer. In this example, I will move my images to the Chapter 8 layer that I created a few moments ago. Now notice that the objects have been moved to the Chapter 8 layer. If you'd like to move a selected object to another layer and the destination layer is locked, you can hold down the Control key on a PC or the Command key on a Mac as you drag the colored dot. If you'd like to copy selected objects to another layer, you would hold down Alt on a PC or Opt on a Mac as you drag the colored dot on the right-hand side of the layer list to the other, just like I did moments ago. And of course, if you'd like to copy selected objects to a locked layer, you would hold down Control-Alt on a PC or Command-Opt on a Mac as you drag the colored dot. Next, I'm going to select the Layers panel menu. The Paste Remember Layers command affects how objects pasted from other locations interact with existing layers. If the Paste Remembers Layers command is selected, objects cut or copied from different layers retain their layer assignments when pasted to the new page or position. If you paste objects to a document that doesn't have the same layers as the document from which they were copied, InDesign adds the object's layer names to the Layers panel in the second document and pastes each object on its layer. If the Paste Remembers Layer command is deselected, objects that are cut or copied from different layers are pasted together on the target layer. To demonstrate, make sure that the Paste Remembers Layers is deselected in the Layers panel menu. Then, select an object, select the Edit menu, and then choose Cut or Copy. Next, in the Layers panel, click the other layer to target it. Finally, select the Edit menu and choose Paste. When you duplicate a layer, you copy its contents and settings. The duplicate layer then appears above the original layer in the Layers panel. Any duplicated frames that were threaded to other frames on the layer remain threaded. Duplicated frames whose originals were threaded to frames on other layers are no longer threaded to those frames. To demonstrate, select the layer name and choose the Duplicate Layer option in the Layers panel menu. Then, drag a layer name and drop it on the New Layer button. Notice that we've just reviewed two separate ways that you can duplicate a layer. Changing the stacking order of layers in a document can be accomplished by rearranging the layers on the Layers panel. Rearranging layers will change the order of layers on every page, not just the target spread. So keep this in mind, or you could make unwanted changes to your document. This concludes part 1 of the Working with Layers tutorial. Be sure to view the next video to finish our discussion about working with layers.